As an Asian American, I need my community to hear this. Black people are not the problem. The anti-blackness in our community is. Watching some of you tell on yourselves this week has been absolutely embarrassing. Every time anti-blackness becomes part of the conversation, too many of you immediately reach for the same playbook. Deflect, deny, play victim, blame black people for noticing. The acquittal for Rick Chow happened. People are angry, and they should be. How does a 14-year-old black boy end up dead and nobody is held criminally responsible? What shocked me even more is watching some Asian Americans spend more time attacking black people instead of reflecting on why the reaction exists in the first place. What I keep seeing is a community demanding understanding while refusing to practice it, demanding grace while refusing to extend it, demanding support while refusing accountability. Nobody owes us their money. Nobody owes us their loyalty. Nobody owes us their silence. And if black consumers decide they no longer want to support certain businesses, that is their decision. Many Asian-owned businesses have spent decades building themselves in black communities, serving black communities, and benefiting from black communities. So when people start questioning those relationships, the answer can't be outrage. The answer can't be victimhood. The answer certainly can't be attacking black people for speaking their minds. What some people seem unable to process is that many black Americans are not reacting to one verdict alone. They're reacting to years of experience, years of frustration, years of feeling disrespected, profiled, dismissed, and treated like a problem inside spaces where their dollars were always welcomed. A lot of us watched relatives and community members say things about black people that would make them furious if somebody said the same thing about Asians. What's exhausting is watching the same folks spend more energy attacking black people than confronting anti-blackness within our own community. If your first instinct is to get defensive instead of reflective, you're part of the problem. As Asian Americans, we know exactly what it feels like to be stereotyped, excluded, and treated like we don't belong. That history should have taught us empathy. Instead, for some people, it taught entitlement. That's a hard conversation our community keeps avoiding. Black Americans are not responsible for fixing this. We are. And until more of us are willing to say that part out loud, we're going to keep having the same conversation over and over again, while wondering while trust keeps eroding. And that's the read. If you like your tea hot, share it, save your seat, and follow for more. This is the Notorious JTB, Notoriously Opinionated, signing out.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are looking at a viral discussion that has sparked a strong reaction online. An Asian man creator shared a message directed at his own community, arguing that instead of blaming black people for tensions between communities, there should even be more honesty conversation about stereotypes, misunderstandings, and accountability. His comment came during a time when discussion about race, trust, and community relationship are becoming increasingly visible across social media. But is it this message helping to bridge divides, or it is creating even more debates? Let's talk about it.
Accept it or not, 1 week. The next chance, you don't have a right to say no. This is last chance, give Kingsley. If we can't do that, we'll ask another person to replace him. If we cannot do this, we'll ask another person to replace him. Don't worry. All right.
When I spoke about Asians being racist to black people, you guys got very sensitive. Asians have the impression and the false narrative that black people are criminals. It doesn't matter where you go, who you are, that's just what they think about black people. And so black people should not be apologetic to think whatever about Asians. Now, I go into a co-op to get myself flowers. I buy myself flowers every single week, TMI. And after I paid for the flowers, I realized that one of the roses had come off. I'm not spending £20 to lose a rose. So I go to the guy at the till, an Asian man, and I said, hey, I've paid for this. However, one of the roses off. Can I go get another one? He goes, sure, provided it's the same one. Duh, of course it's going to be the same one. Guess what? He comes off the till and follows me, not knowing I could see him.
Black people are boycotting Asian stores because an Asian store owner recently just offed a black kid. And this is the most stupidest thing ever. This is one of the most racist things you can ever do. And it's coming from black people. And I'm very disappointed, right? Because, you guys gone through the most, struggle in racism. So I thought you would be more understanding about, not turning things into racist issues immediately. But, here it is. You see a Chinese guy or just an Asian guy do something bad to a black guy, and you automatically start boycotting, stereotyping, and grouping in all the other Asians. What the hell kind of logic is that? We do not associate with the guy. Have you seen a single Asian person, glorifying or saying that guy, he did it, then he did the right thing, that kid deserved to have that happen to him? No. Who is supporting him? No one is supporting him. If the Chinese community was supporting that Chinese guy or Asian guy, then I would understand you're boycotting everyone. But literally no one is supporting him. We're all condemning him. Show me one person who's supporting that Asian store owner. What are we doing? Why are you becoming more racist? Why are we fighting racism with racism? This is the most stupidest thing ever, bro. If anything, this is raising racial tensions between blacks and Asians. This is the most stupidest. You're just setting everyone back. This is so stupid. Please do not do this, okay? I understand that, that black kid did not deserve it to have that happen to him, all right? And I agree. We all agree on that. Every Chinese person or Asian person, I can, probably agree for them on their behalf, okay? We all, what I'm saying? That Asian guy did not, what I'm saying? He's a bad person. He deserves to go to jail for a long time. We all agree on that. There's no need for you to start boycotting and become racist to other Asian stores because of this one singular incident. Are you stupid? What? If you see, your black friend doing this, genuinely please explain to them and calm them down, because this is not the right way to, combat racism.
Hey, so real quick, you are not pro-black unless you as a black person look to your left and look to your right and your spouse is black. You understand what I'm saying? I don't understand why that's such a hard concept to understand. You as a black person have a black experience, and you as a black person dating interracially can be an ally to a pro-black couple, but you yourself do not have a day-to-day, pro-black lifestyle. So I don't understand, again, why that's such a hard concept to grab. No, you should not be at the table with us when it comes down to black people voting. No, because you will have some type of biases. You are not to be trusted when it comes down to, the black majority vote and things of that nature. And you have to understand that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's telling you not to date interracially. Nobody's telling you, that it's a bad thing. I'm just telling you, when it comes down to black decisions, we're going to question you. You understand what I'm saying? We're going to question your motives, because there are raccoons out here and they love to tap dance. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, no, you're not pro-black.
Boy, I started smiling so big when I saw this woke Asian female spit nothing but heat. I just want to say thank you. She hit the nail right on the head.
For all the racist fucks that keep saying they have black fatigue, I think it's time we set the record straight. You don't have black fatigue, you have history fatigue. You're tired of being reminded that black people didn't just participate in the world, they were a huge part in shaping it. Every race and every culture has benefited from the sacrifices that black people have made. The civil rights movement didn't just open doors for black Americans, it expanded freedoms for everyone. And the shameful part is black people hardly, if ever, get the credit for it. Black people aren't just in music and sports. You guys need to get out more, okay? Black people are doctors, lawyers, pilots, judges, engineers, educators, innovators, and the list goes on. They hold up systems that people rely on daily while pretending that contribution doesn't exist. And no, this isn't pandering. This is lived experience. I grew up in an all-white neighborhood with very few black people and no other Asians. And at that time, the only culture that accepted me without question was the black culture. So when people talk about a world without black people, they expose how very little they understand about the world they already live in. Without black people, you don't get a world with less noise. You get a world with less creativity, less freedom, less culture, and less progress. If that truth exhausts you, it's not fatigue. It's discomfort with knowing how much you benefit from this world without acknowledging the source.
Happy Black History Month.
This man, what he's talking about is simple. Blaming entire group of people for social problem doesn't not solve anything. He says that many people are quickly to criticize black communities while avoiding conversation about prejudice that many exist within their own community. According to him, if different groups want mature respect and understanding, everyone must be willing to examine their own attitudes and assumptions. Supporters of his message say this kind of self-reflection is necessary. They believe, you know, progress happens when community are willing to acknowledge uncomfortable truth and work toward for better relationship. Others disagree. Some argue that discussions about race are more complicated and that focusing on one issue may overlook other factors such as crime, economy, media representation, and personal experience. What makes this topic even more interesting is that highlights people asking many questions. How do different community build trust when there is a long-standing tension and misunderstandings? Regardless of where people stand, many agree that productive conversation are more effective than stereotypes, assumptions, or blaming entire group of people for the action which have been done by even fewer individuals.
Cyrus Cormac Belton, a 14-year-old, was shot to death by South Carolina gas station owner Rick Chow. Asian Americans have a problem. Now, this is a topic that I'm personally a bit uncomfortable even talking about because it is a really complicated subject that deserves to be discussed with all of the nuance that comes with it, and a lot of people just are not willing to do that. Now, this case really reminds me of the 1991 killing of Latasha Harlins by Korean grocery owner Soon Ja-do, who ended up not going to jail. She just had to do probation and pay a fine. Now, the easy way out would be to say, what does race got to do with this? Sure, the gas station owner might have been Asian and the victim might have been Black, but it was an issue between store owner and store customer or perceived theft. And I think a lot of my fellow Asian Americans view this issue as something more to do between merchants and their customers or community around them. But there is definitely a racialized element at play here that a lot of people simply just don't know enough history to recognize. The reason why there are so many Asian businesses in predominantly Black neighborhoods, think your convenience stores, think grocery stores, beauty stores, nail shops, hair stores, a lot of these are operating by Asian immigrants. The Asian immigrants of the 1970s and 80s are different than the ones today. A lot of them came over because of immigration laws. They had limitations on how they could use their education or their skills and background in America. So many of them ended up becoming small business owners due to these discriminations. And because of redlining and other structural disadvantages that many Black Americans face, these predominantly Black neighborhoods, oftentimes in highly urban areas, were cheaper to buy a property to start a business for these new immigrants. Similarly, Rick Chow, who I believe is Chinese descent from his last name, he was found not guilty for the shooting of Cyrus Cormac Belton. They argued that because Cormac Belton was armed, even though he didn't bring up his arms, he was running away, he was shot in the back, they found him, Rick Chow, not guilty of murder. A lot of these Asian immigrants who come in to open up shop, they are not aware of the nuances of racial tensions in America. They might, like, broadly people know, okay, America has issues between white people and Black people, and slavery happened, but that's pretty much it. They don't really necessarily understand some different cultural things, like Asians tend to follow people around in their stores to kind of look at what they're touching, look at what they're interested in. They don't understand that has a very racialized angle in America. They don't necessarily realize and recognize that the people who they perceive as potential thieves tends to have a very racialized stereotype behind it. They'll disproportionately target Black people over other people in their stores. You just look at all of these issues coming out of H-Marts and NYC, where the security guards will often accuse Black teenagers of shoplifting, but even if they're with their white or Asian friends, they don't get targeted the same as the Black person. Asians, like any group in America, have this anti-Black issue. A lot of it comes from these different stereotypes that get exported back to Asia with the US military, with popular media, just the normalization of racist ideas in America is so strong and so prevalent that of course it impacts people who are even just immigrants who just came here, they have an idea of these racial hierarchies in America. And a lot of times one of the issues with these Asian stores, small owners, and the local community is that they don't hire Black people. A lot of times they will only hire Asians or their own family. And some of this can be cutting cost measures. I know there are some Asians who will hire people who are not documented immigrants because they know they can exploit their labor, which is not the same for an American-born Black person. And I'm not discrediting the fact that there are aggressive people in poor urban areas. Because of poverty, people are going to turn to crime. And I'm not going to discredit that there's a strong undercurrent of xenophobia in America that also impacts Black Americans who will go forward and put these racist stereotypes and caricatures of Asians onto their local business owners. But that doesn't justify us Asians hitting back with violence, because we won't face the same consequences. In this kind of white supremacist dynamic of the court system, if an Asian commits a crime against a white person, we will be held accountable as a person of color. But if an Asian commits a crime against a Black person or another darker skinned person of color, we will be treated as the better minority. I think my screen is inverted, but one of the things that I read a while ago that really informed me was Kyung Park's Use and Abuse of Race and Culture, Black Korean Tension in America. And this was written in 1996, so very much informed by the recent LA riots and the different ways that the white media painted the conflict not as this sort of Black response to white brutality in police, but rather as this Korean Black conflict, and really sensationalized it. I think Asian Americans need to do a lot of work to unpack racism and understand really how that intersects with economic stuff, with immigration, with all of these different issues that we tend to look at only as in a bubble of only looking at Asian American issues, but not considering how they intersect with other racial groups' issues in America. Anyway, I'm not really sure if the point of my video came across, but I wanted to express that I'm very, very sorry for Cyrus's family. I'm really disappointed in the way that Asians continually use their proximity to whiteness and power and economic privilege against other people of color, even unknowingly. And I guess this is also just a call to my fellow Asian Americans to do some of that mental work unpacking, learn the history of Asians in America, and understand why it is not going to be beneficial to side with white supremacy. I've seen numerous Black creators on here standing up for Asian Americans facing discrimination, and that's amazing and wonderful, and I truly wish our community reciprocated the same amount.
I realized I forgot to mention also, if you are Asian and you're not comfortable operating a business in a predominantly Black neighborhood because you are afraid for your life or your business, move somewhere else. I'm from around the Baltimore area. There's very few Korean businesses left in the historic Koreatown. They all moved out to Howard County. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't need to stay there. I know, it's hard to pack up and move, but it's better than staying there and endangering the lives of your community.
If Black folks boycotting Asian businesses is what it takes to fast-track Asian folks into deconstructing their internalized white supremacy and anti-Blackness, so be it. Boycott. I didn't apologize to the Black community in my video yesterday so that y'all would magically trust me or forgive Asian people suddenly. I apologized to hold my people accountable, because the Asian community owes an apology, and the Black community deserves to receive an apology. Is it enough? No. But is it one grain of rice in the direction of repair? I believe so. Trust can only be rebuilt through action, so I will continue educating Asian folks in my life, both online and in real life, to deconstruct the internalized white supremacy and anti-Blackness, because Black folks are some of the most soulful, caring people I know, and y'all deserve better.
That there will come a time when Black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves. Then the Black man will think like a Black man, and he will feel for other Black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause Black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one Black man, you are attacking all Black men. And this type of Black thinking will cause all Black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon Black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it.
This discussion is not about choosing the side. It is about understanding how different communities can even move forward together build a beautiful relationship. What do you think, guys? Is it accountability important to step toward trust, or there are another approach that works better than this? Leave your opinion in this comment, and let's keep this conversation respectful. Until the next time, thank you for watching my YouTube channel. Remember that this is League CZDO. I love you guys.